Hello, my friends. Today, I want to talk about a couple of interesting things. I want to talk about consciousness and the greater consciousness that we live in which we are a subset of. And I also want to talk about my journey to Atlantis. Yes, you heard that right. Okay, before I get into that, I want to make a quick mention of yesterday, June 13th, 2024, was a sad day for America and for humanity in general, as an assassination attempt was made on former President Donald Trump. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, that type of ignorant violence is unacceptable, my friends. I don't condone it, and it solves nothing. I see things as it's not us and them, folks, it's just us. We're all in this thing together, and we need to learn to get along. I'll leave it at that for now because there's plenty of other stuff out there going on about it. Let's get started with consciousness and the bigger picture. So I think most people, if they really think about it, would agree that we are a subset, or the physical reality that we live in is a subset of a larger, more general reality, so to speak. Now, I recently had an experience that reaffirmed that to me. I already felt that way, of course, and this experience was quite unexpected, so to speak. So I've been reading a couple of different books, and one of them is My Big Toe by Tom Cambell, and the other one is A Hypnotist Journey to Atlantis by Sara Breskman Cosme, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And she is a level 3 QHHT practitioner. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I've had a QHHT session before. It's a hypnotherapy session that can take you back to past lives and in between lives and so on and so forth. And so I'm going to talk about an experience that I had. Now, the interesting thing is that in reading My Big Toe, which toe stands for theory of everything, my big theory of everything. So it's pretty interesting. So in reading that, he's attempting to put together a model through scientific evidence. You'll have to read it really, and it's actually 3 books in one. But he's spent about 30 years researching this, and he's also a PhD in physics. So he's really taking a scientific approach to this, and I think the scientists and the skeptics would appreciate that. And in fact, he emphasizes that you should be open-minded but skeptical of everything. And I tend to agree with that, and I'm kind of a left-brain, logical-minded, engineering type person the way I think too. And he talks about where science limits themselves basically to the physical reality, and that everything is derived from our physical reality, which when you think about it, it makes no sense. That's actually a dogmatic belief. But anyways, not to get into that, I highly recommend the book to read. So in the midst of reading that book, which I do sometimes, and usually it frustrates me because it's hard to read 2 books at once, because you want to read them both. But anyways, I started reading Sara Breskman Cosme's book, and in her book she says that you might get triggered by this, and that that she was supposed to write this book to awaken people to our true past. And it starts out in Lemuria and ends up in Atlantis. Now, I'm always skeptical of claims like this. Well, if you read this book, you might get triggered. It might trigger some memories from your, a lifetime in those places. And so, but I've always been fascinated by the stories of Atlantis, like a lot of us are. So anyway, so I started reading the book, and lo and behold, unexpectedly, I was triggered. I felt like I must have had a life in Lemuria and Atlantis. And so, it brought back my memories of my QHHT session. What a QHHT session does is get in touch, gets you in contact with your higher self, okay? And so I was feeling the buzzing and the feelings that I felt when I had my QHHT session just from reading the book. And I thought, wait a minute, this is crazy. Because as a left brain, skeptical person, I question everything. So anyways, that night I determined to go to bed and ask my higher self to take me to Atlantis. So I fell asleep doing just that, and lo and behold, all of a sudden I was there. And there was these buildings built out of stone, and they had like really high-pitched gable roofs on them, and they kind of surrounded this huge plaza. And then I was transported to, I was all of a sudden in the water, and I could see all kinds of debris and bodies and stuff. And this wasn't just a third-person observation. I was actually in the water. I could feel the water. I was ducking under the water and seeing debris and bodies and things in the water. And it was right apparently after the destruction of either Lemuria or Atlantis. I'm not sure which now. And so I don't remember if I died there like that. I'm assuming that I probably did, but it was just like a glimpse. But the thing is that night, it's almost like I felt like I didn't get any sleep because I was in contact with my higher self, asking all kinds of questions and asking for healing and certain things that have been going on with me. And you might know what those are if you've watched some of my previous videos. I did one video where I had a crisis. So I woke up still with that feeling, and I wasn't really that tired, but I was feeling really good actually about making the connection with my higher self. And I wanted to keep that connection. And of course now it's several days later, and that connection has faded again because I've had that feeling before. But it made me more determined to stay in connection with my higher self and walk in a higher light or higher vibration, if you will. And I'm thinking about having another QHHT session because now I want to go back and explore my lifetimes in Lemuria and in Atlantis now, because I know I was there. So sounds kind of crazy, huh? This just re-emphasized to me the greater reality that we live within. You know, and even the scriptures talk about that we live within God, so to speak, that we are in God and that we are all parts of Him. And some of the ancient wisdom teaches that we are thoughts in the mind of God, which makes some sense because consciousness would indicate that there's a mind, a greater mind that we live within. And there's a scripture that says something to the effect that we live and breathe and have our being within God. And in this subset of physical reality that we live in, we're very limited. But once we start awakening to who and what we are, we can explore the cosmos, so to speak. And we can explore who and what we are more deeply, and we can get a bigger picture of the whole thing. Now, I don't know if we can get the whole picture, and that might take several lifetimes, but I believe that we've all lived several lifetimes here already. So you tell me in the comments if you've had previous lives in Atlantis or Lemuria or anywhere else that you feel like talking about. I always enjoy that sort of thing. You know, and like I've said before, many people who've had near-death experiences see some of their past lives, or even all of them. So it starts to complete the puzzle, so to speak. So we're down here in physical reality looking at like one little corner of the puzzle. But if you look up and look at the box, you know, you can see the whole picture. And so it's kind of ironic, right? You got to look at the box on the puzzle, but we need to step out of the box to see the bigger pieces. It's like the old parable of the blind man and the elephant, right? Each guy describes a part of the elephant as he feels it because he can't see it. And so they think, one guy thinks the elephant is a trunk, another guy thinks it's a big stump, you know, that kind of thing. And so we want to be able to see the whole elephant. And you can do that. And one of the ways, probably the best way to get started doing that is through meditation. And I've been meditating on and off for many years, and I've discovered that if you're not consistent, you really don't make much progress. And that's been a problem for me. But there have been times where I've been fairly consistent for a while, and that's when I've made the most progress. And I even have a few videos about some profound discoveries I've made while meditating. But one of the things that I wanted to mention about Tom Cambell's book, My Big Toe, is he gives some really simple, easy ways to start meditating. And I kind of did it that way myself, but I've gotten away from that, and it just reminded me to go back to that. So I'm going to start a 90-day challenge to meditate twice a day, at least 20 minutes for that 90 days. and see what kind of progress I can make. And I'll keep you updated on that. So anyways, folks, the point of this is that there's a greater reality out there, and you need to explore it and discover it. And you can start through meditation. All right, my friends, peace out.